Monsters everywhere, I believe, is the topic.
Monsters everywhere. Yeah, they really are. Did you stand in line at that coffee shop this morning? When they ran out of Coke? Holy crap.
And see, I'm learning from Mitch here. I'm going to stand up. I'm moderating. And the title of this panel is Monsters, Monsters Everywhere. See, there are many here today.
Monsters?
But anyway, we've had all kinds of weird creatures, vampires, and of course, zombies. But don't worry, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about what may come next and what else. What other kinds of monsters are there? Are we really stuck in a rut that is limited to those, to vampires, weird creatures, and zombies, and I guess demons, angels, fallen angels, all that? They've all been done practically to death, pun intended.
There really is one in there.
So, I'm going to ask the panel to introduce themselves, and when they do, to tell you if they've used other types of monsters than those that I've just named, and if so, what. So, starting with Scott, let's just go down the line here.
Well, I guess I've had more experience with monsters, I'll give you that with a caveat, than the named monsters that Rose has already told us about. Since I'm a cryptozoologist and I deal with all kinds of crazy mythical creatures, some of them have turned out to be real and others turn out to be completely imaginary or a misidentification, but we have fun with them. Do we want to tell everybody, if they don't know us, a little bit about ourselves too? You know, frankly, I feel like I should be running around with a reel. But in any case, I've done most recently William Shatner's Weird or What, where I talk about the Monkey Man of India, and that's aired in Canada and the UK. I've done Weird Florida, Roads Less Traveled, where I talk about a monstrous alligator down in Lake Wales. That's part of an Indian legend. And, oh God, I've done Is It True, where I talk about my big hairy friend, the swamp ape. Then, of course, Monster Quest. I did several episodes for them, actually in front of the camera, and researched 6 of them for them. So I've had a little experience working with things other than zombies, werewolves, demons, and all the other named creatures.
My name's Steve Biro. I'm the author of Hallucination. Good luck if you're going to try and read it. Good luck to read that.
You're a set, you must have looked.
I own the DVD company called Unearthed Films. We release a lot of stuff. If you try and find a movie, good luck with that. I've released zombie movies, a couple of lame-ass vampire movies, no werewolf movies, some gremlin movies, goblins, but like, you know, big, I don't know, monsters. It's just so nasty nowadays. Too many vampires, too many zombies. It's like, come on, it's just, I hate it. Too much.
Hollywood has no imagination.
It's
Dude, he's peeking, be careful.
Everybody's got these young vampires, and it's just like romancing.
Yeah, there's no monsters anymore. They're all.
It's necrophilia. Young girls with dead old guys.
You leave God out of this.
You leave the dead old guys out of this.
Well, thank you, Steve, for actually qualifying one with a Nelly in the hallway later in this club. Anyway,
I've got a broom here.
oh no, we're going to Jailhouse Rock. Anyway, hi everybody. I'm Mitch Hyman. I am an author, worked in television, so I know I have seen real monsters. They're called producers, the writers, publicists, agents, and the guy who runs craft services always runs out the really good raisin bagels. Anyway. I also have dealt with other monsters. I've killed a few. I used to work for Crack Magazine, and I was given the job. I'm the only man in America who has fired Donald Trump. And I was working for these two knotheads who had bought the magazine at the time. One is Rick Niels from Cheap Trick, the other one was Steve Tyler, who was just kind of coming to meetings going, when are we going to go drinking? So, okay. I've done this book with several other authors called Dr. Sarcophagus, Carnival of Dark Desires, where we do investigate alternate creatures. I personally like mythology, so I use muses. The muses are incredibly bloodthirsty, especially Melpomene, who is the muse of drama, horror, what have you. Okay? If you think Thalia has a sense of humor, she's the move. Two of them hang together. She just laughs when this one's chopping your head off. Okay? But there are a lot of different creatures you can use and everyone forgets about. Nobody's thinking about things like going to the Asian pantheon. You have the Hua Bong, or the Bong Hua, which is a very unusual vampire. If you want to go a little further down, you have were creatures from like India, the Rashaka, which is a were tiger. But again, we're talking about wares, and we are talking about, you know, the zombies, all that. But there are crazier creatures than that. There's the Iranis. There are the Nagas. There are all kinds of strange spirits, all kinds of strange demons, all kinds of strange things, honestly, that are out there that people haven't tapped on in a long time. And look at H.P. Lovecraft. Create his own pantheon of creatures. So you can create something brand new, whole bolt of cloth from nothing. That's exactly what I did this other book, shameless self-promotion, Hitman in Paradise. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's available right here, right now, but you don't care. You want to hear about all the rest of this stuff. So that pretty much is it. There's a lot of different creatures used. You don't have to go with the cut and dry.
Hi, I'm Monique Desir. I'm a beginning writer. I've not been published yet, but coming into this convention has really helped me to get the fire under my bottom to get published. I do enjoy the monsters. I'm a little over with the zombies and the vampires. I mean, I do write vampires, but I was kind of sick of the sparkly boys. I want to go back to the old school Anne Rice and bring that back. The suave, the sexy, the seductors. But what I did do is I liked the idea of fallen angels, and I always was interested in the story in Genesis where the angels had come and they lay down with the sons and daughters of man. So I'm into the Gregorian and all that creepy stuff. Like, what if the Greek gods of ancient world or India were really just demons pretending to be gods with little G's? But I don't know. That's what I'm here for. So look out for my books. Hopefully by the end of the year or next in January for that kind of thing. And that's all I have to say.
And I'm Rose Sabin, and my latest book is science fiction, but the symbiote in it is an invisible creature that feeds on energy and lives within its host and protects its host, sometimes by consuming an enemy with fire, and fries the brain of her fiancé, by the way. So it does have a monster of sorts, even though it's science fiction. For these books, for this one, School for Sorcery, I came up with dire lords and dire women from the dire realms. And they are kind of like demons, but they aren't.
Rose, can I interject just one thing? As you're all looking at School of Sorcery, do not think she wrote that after Harry Potter. Please qualify it.
Thank you. No, it was written long before. It won the Griffin Award, the Andre Norton Griffin Award, as an unpublished manuscript in 1992. So I can prove it was written before Harry Potter even began to come out. Okay, so. Going back is supposed to be on this panel. I don't know what happened to him, but
He's also a skinwalker because he could be any one of you.
I was hoping he would be here because he does so much with Native American mythology. And I was really eager for him to share that with us. So maybe he'll come in late. I don't know. I talked to him last night, but I didn't find out if he was. I mean, I would have assumed he would be here. Okay, so my next question is, is there anything in particular that you see coming up that has I mean, we don't have crystal balls, but if we can imagine some type of monster other than those that we're not going to name further, that might take the place of those and really catch fire in the imagination of the public. So I open it to any of our panelists unless you want to keep going and
Crab people.
Where's the
elaborate.
butter? Where's the butter?
Crab people, lobster people. There was a phenomenal, wonderful movie. Oh wait, no, that was a TV show called South Park. They had crab people. They had crab people.
Is that South Park, dude?
It's, you know, I think that's the next big thing. It has to be, you
Didn't
know.
Cheryl Strauss do something? Excuse me, do something with lobsters? I think she
Actually,
did.
yeah, no, right.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
It's coming back. It's coming back. You'll see. Start writing, everybody. Write those scripts. Crab people. They're gonna attack the world. When we defeat them,
And we're going to videotape this and use it for the copyright
Okay,
control later
you
on.
heard
Okay, so
it
you're good with
first
that.
here. All right, anybody else?
For myself, honestly, I think that we're going to start looking towards, we have a very mixed culture in America, which is awesome. So we're getting all kinds of different vibes from people and creatures we never heard about. I spent some time in Thailand and heard about things I had never known existed. Now, it's really funny, in some parts of Asia, you have the were-dragon. Now, who's thought of a whole coterie of dragons? And they can be opposed because you have the air masters, the river masters, you know, so on and so forth. The four-talent versus the five-talent, the kings, the queens. And I think that's something else to look into. I know we're going where, but it turns out these guys have been around much, much longer. And then you look at Hyman, the monkey god, and the group that he works with, that Indian culture. There's Middle Eastern, there's African, all kinds of strange ghosts, demons, things coming out of these cultures. So, I mean, I know we have the vampire. The vampire's been around, literally has been noted in ancient Greek mythology and our own Bible, all versions, King James, you know, even though everybody's drunk when they wrote that, everybody's good. But the thing is, all the, oh, stop already. I'll be signing Revelations to Satan later on. Anyway, so everybody go to your room, grab a freebie. So, but my serious point is that there are all kinds of different creatures, but they have to be something that we're familiar with. So the work's going to come down to, if you want to bring them in from other cultures to our Western way of thinking, we'll have to explain to them. Very interesting. When you go overseas, like Europe or whatever it is, you come up with you have a Western mind, so you come up with a creature you've worked with over here. They know Dracula, and they know the Wolfman, and all that, and they think they're hilarious. They're not in any way frightened. They go, of course, we have worse than that. They start telling you about theirs. Did you know in Korea they have the Kishin? I did a comic series on the Kishin. Kishin's a ghost. They don't have vampires. So I'm casting about trying to figure out, wow, how would this thing about vampires? And I go, no, they call them ghosts. So how we look at something may be the way somebody else does. So now we can reinterpret any creature we want if you think about it correctly. It's to you to open your mind to it. So yes, I think there are wonderful, great creatures not used yet. We're just not seeing them. And when we do, we're going to go, that's awesome.
Yeah, but I don't think so.
Not the crab people. Stop with the crab people.
I didn't say crab people.
It's interesting you mentioned Hyman, because when I did the Monkey Man episode for Shatner, I related it to Hyman, but the editors cut all of that out.
Why would you think they would do that?
And that's one of the problems. I don't know how many times I've tried to sell monsters in quotes, to different television shows, because the producers will call me and say, hey, let's do this and let's do that. And they always wind up going back to the big five. I mean, if it isn't Bigfoot, the Chupacabra, Mothman, Loch Ness Monster or something related to that, and you know, Lord knows I can't even think. Oh yes, the Thunderbird, or some pterodactyl. That's it. That's all they ever want to hear about.
Coming into the world.
That's all they ever want to hear about, and they always wind up cutting out all the good stuff. And there are some other things that are way more monstrous. You talk about Southeast Asia. What about the tic-tic?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You're right.
Now, tell us. Tell us.
Well, it's a flying bat-like creature that has the ability, if it lands, to split itself in half. One half becoming essentially a screaming banshee woman, and the other becoming a flying dragonish monster that will attack and devour anything it gets to.
And where is that at?
That's in the Philippines.
Can I
It's the
stay
worst
there?
prevalent.
Wait for Sci-Fi Channel. Now that he's mentioned it, Sci-Fi Channel do a bad movie on it soon, right? Everybody's going, what the hell was that?
And then they've got the Capri, which is another. That's a forest demon that's Bigfoot-ish, but it has a very long tail and it's more demonish. That kind of thing. Loves to smoke old stogies.
Don't laugh, seriously.
But you know, some of these things are really very monstrous. But they, you know, for whatever reason, television wants to parse your taste down to what they want to deal with. And what really needs to happen is the public. We had one person speak up yesterday at one of the meetings say, "Do you have anything other than zombies? Please give me something other than zombies." And frankly, what they need to do is hear from the public who says, "We're sick of freaking zombies, or we're tired of Bigfoot." And you know, give us something else. And you know, but that's one of the things that problem is one of the things that killed Monster Quest.
And I hate to kind of just, I don't need to do the domination thing, but let me put it this way. In this book, I said, okay, I live in the Caribbean, and this was like 1979, 1980, okay? And this is down near Martinique, a little island called Ile de Sal, which you can't even find if you wanted to, okay? And it was right after Hurricane David. And I was working as a sail hand for windjammers on the Yankee Clipper. And we pulled the port, and it's like the whole town is devastated. So we go to this little cafe, and we're trying to have, you know, some beignet and some coffee, and we hear this like tinkle, 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 and I'm like, "Oh, what the hell is that?" And two of the guys on the crew were sitting there going, "Okay, you don't look up. You keep." These guys were Garots, in other words, guys who lived in the ghettos down the island. And they said, "You don't look up, don't look." I'm like, "Oh, what am I not looking at?" "Don't worry, don't look." And this guy comes walking down the street, very brightly dressed for such a horrible day and everything. He's got a little bell, and there are people walking behind him, dragging shovels and machetes. I mean, they're dragging these things. And I'm going, "What the hell is that?" And my friend Mr. Cool looks at me and goes, "Obeah." "What? Obeah, man." I said, "That's like a witch doctor or something, isn't it?" He goes, No, that's voodoo." He goes, "You don't look. You look, you his." And I watched them walk past. Now, we all know that they're just drugged out people. But these, I actually was lucky enough to actually see real zombies.
To piggyback on that, my father's from Haiti and my mother's from Jamaica, and Obeah is from Jamaica and voodoo's from Haiti. Sometimes they're not drugged out. I mean, I never was afraid of demons or ghosts or vampires. I was afraid of the duppy. I was afraid of somebody trying to come and get me because of the horrible stories my mother and father would tell me. And I just I remember once, I don't know what the name of the thing would be, but my father said that he had been at Carnival in Haiti. It was a big deal. The women in their beautiful colored dresses and skirts were always dancing at the time, but there's a darker element to it because he was just having a good time. This man comes up to him and touches his forehead. He falls down. He goes into this catatonic stage, and he doesn't remember anything. But a man coming to him looked like he said it looked like, because he was not from the country, but he saw like comic books with the Silver Surfer, and he said, "That's what I saw. That man, that thing came to me, looked like the Silver Surfer." And these zombies don't scare me. I'll just shoot your head off. I'll burn you. But duppies and all this stuff from Haiti and Jamaica, I'm like, just stay away from me.
The ones that have the lowest control of them, it's really kind of eerie. So when I did this, I said, you know, I'm going to go back to that and use the traditional zombies, a cheap labor force. Because that's really what the operation was. But it's much more than that. And I love your story, because I haven't heard about the guppy and the jumpy in a long time.
Talk to my dad and my mom.
You know, a writer who does a lot with the Caribbean, whatever you want to call them, the duppies and so forth, is Nalo Hopkinson. Terrific writer.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, that's what happened to mainstream is that they corrupted the zombies and they took it away from the Haitian voodoo zombie type thing and made it more mainstream and did it more government experimentation.
Because it really was religious originally.
Or you could do it with Ted Michaels and somebody getting an astronaut.
So what we're saying is that
we're back to zombies.
You are one too. Don't worry about it.
Other cultures are a tremendous source for monsters. I have a novel as yet unpublished, mainly because I haven't sent it out yet, but I will. The monster, or a monster in it, the big monsters are people, but a tulpa. I use a tulpa, and that's Tibetan, isn't it?
Yes.
And he appears to this young boy as a little pig, but he's a protector of the boy, and to others he appears as a huge boar that's going, I mean,
he's a werewolf.
very fierce.
In a way, yeah, I guess.
Tulpa, the tulpa comes from another culture, and there's just such a wealth of material in these cultures that we need to look into and study. Okay, some of the rest of you. Are there other things that you have used or are familiar with that you think might be or might become the next big thing to have that capability? Or are editors, publishers, directors, so forth, producers, too stuck in a rut to turn to these wonderfully fertile fields? What do you all think?
I don't think they're stuck in a rut. I think they're in a blooming canyon. That's all they want is what they think will sell.
Yeah, well, it's safe. It's safe.
And that's what is already sold.
You're right, not
They
something
haven't
new. Why
invested
take
in
a
already.
risk of the
You're exactly right.
fail?
I just want monsters to go back to being monsters. I mean, we don't have monsters anymore. We have vampires that are making out with girls in high school.
Because people, I think, like the Let the Right One In. That was a monstrous book to me. I didn't.
Which one?
Let the Right One In. It's a foreign book.
Oh, is that one like Let Me In? or
It's
something
slightly
like that?
Swedish. It's
That's
called
the
Let the Right
American
One In.
version.
The Swedish version is better than the lame ass American one they have the movie.
No, I read the book.
The book is very good, and it's monstrous. There's no fixing it. There's no, oh, you're such a pretty vampire.
So what is it that
It's
makes a
not like
monster a
that.
monster?
I was going to ask that. Thanks.
Alien in nature.
Well, so it's unnatural or evil?
No, it's just alien in nature. Something that's not
I think well, for me, monsters would be sociopathic behavior. I mean, when I went to the zombie panels, I would be more afraid of my fellow humans that I think would be out for themselves instead of the zombies. I know you want my brain, but other human beings that you just want to take my pocketbook because I got money or take my gas. F you, we're in this together, what's wrong with you? That's what I would say. What the hell's wrong with you? You idiot. You saw the movie, didn't you? The guy freaks out, there's no food, there's no money there. I mean, what the hell?
She nailed it. That's it. No, that's it. The foreboding, the terror, the whole thing. You can take my gas card, you can take my wallet. I don't care if you're a freaking zombie, but I'm keeping this stuff, man.
Yeah, I need this to survive, and so do you. So you'd rather kill me to help yourself live a couple hours longer. So
Okay, so sometimes people are the biggest monsters, and I think is what she's saying.
Yeah.
And what about the question, do monsters have to be totally evil? Or do they have a positive side? Are they evil for some and not evil for others? What are some of your things about this? Are they the incarnation of pure evil? Or are they two-sided?
Wait a minute, hold it. That was an interesting point to make. What was it, Steve?
Monster has to be evil, otherwise
it's not a monster.
Okay, but it can be a monster to someone and not to someone else.
Can we just call it a creature?
What about Frankenstein's monster?
Monster.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. What about Frankenstein's monster was not
But you know, they call him a monster, but he truly
he really
wasn't. Even when Shelley wrote, didn't consider it a monster. Considered a doomed, damn soul
He was a
walking
failed
the planet.
experiment, wasn't
Dr.
it?
Jeffrey.
Right, it was-
Along
it was
with
a-
humanity, felt
It's all-
They went monstrously wrong, however.
Right.
Now let's look at monstrous.
This,
Maybe that's the qualifier.
that's
we
this
need.
is an interesting
Okay.
point too, because when I deal with cryptid animals, and not all, and they animals do what animals do. That doesn't necessarily make them monsters.
Right, that's it.
Everybody's seen the seal getting eaten by the killer whale who's up on the beach, right? Or the shark leaping out of the water, grabbing the pellet, whatever.
It's not called a monster.
No, but it's monstrous. But we would say that monstrous behavior, but it's natural for them. So now, are monsters naturally monsters? Do we make them monsters? Do we make them that way? I think. No, Rose?
I think so, and I do think that there is, I mean, to me, just like a character who is totally good is also totally boring, a character who is totally evil can be totally boring as well. I think it's the dual nature that appeals to us. The fact that there is good and bad, because there's good and bad in everybody, and maybe in every
How many of
I
us
don't
in the
know.
audience want to take a bad boy and make him a good one?
That's all right.
Oh, well, there is that.
I think that some
It's-
people have a disconnect, or sociopaths. I do find them interesting as a writer and a reader and as a human being, but I don't comprehend how someone could just kill and be like, it was just going and doing grocery stores. I mean, I just don't understand. It was just so getting involved in children. I think that's just.
It's
No, I
time
don't
to
think
let the audience share in this because I'm hearing a lot
No,
of
she had a
opinions.
good point. She asked, do you feel pity for sociopaths? I can't allow myself that, to have pity for a sociopath. Or something I find monstrous.
and all that, I wish they could have had it.
Oh, I wish they could, but I'm not gonna cry and fucking pedal.
Okay,
No, but that's the connection.
You're great at it.
That's the
So-
good in them, is the fact that they're so evil, but maybe it's not their choice.
Well, a lot
They
of
were
times
born
though,
that way, they've got no choice.
I don't know.
a lot of people that are completely evil though, like, when you
Stop.
sit there and you look at it and they're like, I'm evil, but they think they're doing it for the right reason. So it's,
well,
they think they're doing right, even though they're doing wrong, you know?
they're
Well,
serial
psychiatrists
killers
have
like
a name for that. It's
Yeah,
called
they-
delusional.
they wrote-
Exactly, but
Yeah.
still, I mean, it makes for an interesting aspect because you have to look at things in the
Yeah, but it's consciousness.
They
If you
lack
don't
a
have
conscience.
yeah, if you don't have a conscience,
Have him
you don't have a
like,
little angel, little devil on your side, fighting for dominance for you and stuff, should I rape and kill this old lady or should I help her across the street?
Oh, now we're getting into Jewish stuff.
That's
what
that's-
I'm so out of this one.
It's the battle. It's the battle within yourself. And people have to read it. It says why serial killers got so big, but yet you got Hannibal Lecter,
awesome.
and
But he's not your typical
but people
sociopath.
no, he's not. But he's a monster.
Let me raise this. Clockwork Orange. I mean,
Oh, the ending.
So with the
The
versions?
ending kind of helps with Bill's story.
but does it?
Like a minute, but I'm like, you can-
Those people were so despicable in the things they did, and the main character.
Are you talking about the government in the movie or
No,
Alex?
the
I'm
No,
not
that's
talking
a
about
he
the
makes a good,
movie.
he does make
I
a good
didn't
point.
see
They
the movie.
made
I'm
the
talking about
Drooges,
the
let's
book.
face it, being
The
who they
book
are, the
is
gang's
different.
right.
Oh yeah, the book's great.
Looks completely different. Now, I heard Stephen King quoted one time saying, if I wasn't writing this kind of stuff, I would be up on a rooftop with a rifle shooting old ladies. I don't know what is wrong, I'm sorry. But shooting old ladies as they cross the street with their shopping bags. Now, I have to look at the writers, right? And I've dealt with a lot of different writers. Are we monster makers? Are we monsters in our souls? Or are we reaching out going, man, there's monsters out there. We gotta tell you guys about this.
We're living precariously through our characters.
That's
Well,
it. I mean, I have a
that might
midnight
be.
werewolf named Bubba. You've got, your characters and creatures.
Yeah, mine's
You're, that is, you better explain that. I think you need to qualify that book. And let's talk about monsters real quick on your perspective. You've seen them for real because
I used to take a lot of drugs at one time in my life, and I started taking so many that I took so much acid, I was actually searching for God. And I would go, using laughing gas at the same time, I would go to the other side. I've been manipulated by the devil. I've met God personally. I've been to heaven, and I've destroyed it, and I've been to hell. It's very hard for me to come out and actually be so honest and upfront, but I have. When I met God, He sent me to hell, vicious, okay? And there was no demons down there burning us and torturing us or anything like that. We were actually just all lost within ourselves, and we chose our own sins, and they multiplied 1,000-fold on top of us. Because instead of choosing God, we chose sins, and that's what basically we were dealing with in hell. And the things that I met on the other side was basically it was either us, ourselves, or other entities. It's very hard to talk about sometimes, that's why I had to write it out, and it took me 10 years to write the book. But there are entities, there are demons on the other side. They will mess with you. They don't want you to really know that they're there, but they're there. So yeah.
how quiet this room just got. That's what I love about this.
That's
You're all
awesome,
thinking
though.
this in your head going, I've always suspected, but I've heard through drugs manipulation, whatever it is, or deprivation, you can be put in these states where you can leave your consciousness. The mystics have been doing it for years in India, other places. You talk to a lot of Buddhists about, leaving and connected by the silver cord and going above yourself and out. Or the people said they went to the other side and came back. There's too much commonality with the bright white light and the other stuff. as a people, I mean, do we in our psyche have this ingrained in built, like a microchip that's in the back of our heads that was put in by whatever, and we all run to this default? Like, because computers are based on our minds, so they have a computer going to its default settings. So do we as people go back to this default? So why do we, again, this default may be the reason why certain people only accept the vampire, the zombie, the werewolf. That's the point. Is it we create the monster, we accept the monster? Where are we at on that?
Well, back to what you just said, which was really interesting. Do you fear demons, or do you understand that you have power over them because of your newfound faith?
No, I have.
That's why I'm not afraid of them. I'm like, you know, there's no reason. They're just like a boogie monster.
Well, but the only bad thing is that they manipulate those.
Yeah, they try to scare you. Yeah, that's
And you
true.
can tell,
It's
yeah, you can tell when you're talking to somebody,
It's got
whether or
some
not
type
they're
of.
in touch with their soul or not. You know, people when you talk to them and they can't look you in the eye for longer than 2 seconds. They're a little sketchy.
Yeah.
You'll
Well,
notice.
the eyes of the
Can I
mirror of
look
the
at your book
soul.
for a minute?
Yeah.
Okay, comments or questions from you all? Yes, sir.
I've actually been wondering, have you guys seen more of a resurgence of like dragons, as you mentioned earlier, in literature as the monster or even the protagonist? Because I've worked for a bookstore for several years, I seem to notice that if you went through the romance aisle, you would find some sort of supernatural creature suddenly pop up in like everything, and then it would spread into young adult, sci-fi, everything. And the last time I was at a bookstore, the thing I seemed to notice going through the romance aisle were all these books with dragons in them now.
One of my favorite romance authors actually has dragons in her new book, but they're shapeshifters from women or something like that.
But that's interesting because we have this one common consciousness amongst ourselves, and they used to talk about the muses. The reason, you know, came from Zeus's head, so on and so forth. Muses are inspiration. As they go from one to the other, they find fertile ground like you would do as a farmer trying to find good places to plant a crop. Sometimes the seed will take or not, but it's really funny. Now that you've mentioned, we talked about it, I guarantee you within the next 6 to 7 months, you'll see something about the dragons becoming a new creature, reptilian or something like that. Interesting you pointed out. Let's see what happens.
You know, I'm seeing in cryptozoology, I'm seeing people, you know, going towards flying pterodactyls, which are a form of dragon.
Wyverns,
mythology
so?
that are now coming back, yeah.
I don't
Bob.
know.
Yeah, what do you think is the biggest mover or influencer of the film or the literary? I mean, like in Zombie, it seems like it was all over the movies. Now it seems to be all over the literary.
The American dream, what will sell?
I mean, which one do you think influences the other the most?
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Essentially,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, anybody wanna tackle?
First of all, it's usually the writer writes what's in his heart, and whether or not it catches on or not is another thing entirely. Then he jumps into the zombie bandwagon, and next thing you know, he got 10 books all on the zombie survival guide with a spoon, the zombie survival guide with a spork, the zombie survival guide. Yeah, they just keep going on. I've talked to a bunch of authors. How many zombie books can you write?
He's right, because the zombies, you always want in literature growth in a character. The most important thing is to get growth in a character. What's that?
Can zombies even grow? Are they just gonna
Well,
sit
that's
there
the
and
whole
just-
thing. All we've done is make them either faster or weirder, but they haven't really grown as characters, have they?
Actually, there are.
Yeah.
They all
They
want
are
brains. The whole thing
yeah,
is
they are
a more
changing.
efficient way to get brains. It's really
They
comes
are.
down to a better way to shop. So maybe Amazon will start having brains for sale. So somebody can just go online and go,
Wait,
hey.
how are they doing
In
No, that's a good. I love what you said. I want to
George
hear that.
Romero's movie Land of the Dead,
They have intelligence.
they are actually starting to learn and gain intelligence.
They're teaching each
After
other.
5 movies,
There we go.
Why don't you go back a little bit?
I remember George.
Well, yeah, but there
Zombies
was
back.
one zombie who is like, he had grabbed a gun from the people as they drove by. And at one point he just got so mad at the people who were killing the other zombies, he sort of did the whole Hulk
Yes.
roar, and he
Bub.
and suddenly he's shooting the gun and he realizes, oh,
That's what's coming.
it's working. So he hands the gun off to another one.
Okay, we're using the allegory of zombies, but let's get away from them as quickly as possible.
But
folks.
what we're trying to establish is what can take their place?
That's the question.
All right.
And what would you
What
guys,
do you
and what would
think?
you guys accept?
But no, that's
Fairies,
that's the
Anything that's good.
Fairies.
It depends on the background.
Oh, let's do fairies.
Whoa. Fairies certainly can be made so. Do you want to elaborate on that?
No, I mean, when I was in high school, 3 years ago, I learned about fairies. I heard there's like the NC, the evil ones. I mean, that'd be kind of cool, like a fairy vampire fight.
Oh,
What about pixies?
That sounds
Pixies are
sparkling.
little. I'm on like a big
Guys, True Blood, Charlene Harris did introduce bloodthirsty wars between them. Shakespeare's talked about it, especially in Midsummer Nights. And of course, we did have Sir Gawain and the Green Knight in the old Arthurian legends, where he was taken out of time and had to do battle with the fairies in the realm. So yeah, fairies can be very vicious.
That sounds too glittery.
No, I'll make it
Wrong fairy, Jen.
I'm a fairy.
Crab people as fairies. Go with it.
Because they use that in True Blood and in Charlene Harris's books. It may be that fairies will become the next big monsters. Monster thing. Yes, sir.
They've already been starting with the fairies. Marlowe K. Hamilton has the Mary Gentry series.
Right.
Dude, I'm not gonna
Standard
sit down with
player.
my friends and drink a bunch of beer and watch some fairies on the TV. It's just
You know you watch Clean.
no matter how vicious the fairies are, it's not gonna catch on.
Depends on the kind of fairies and how drunk you get.
Okay, what else? What else? Yes, sir.
Aside from the fact that we've kind of established that, you know, the same few monsters are like safe, but do you think there's like kind of a desire for people to get away from monsters because they want like a more psychological or more human element that they can relate to, and that's why there's been like a little departure from the more monstrous or, you know, less intelligent or developed?
Very well said.
Let me make a point on that real quick. I'm going to throw you 3 names, and I think the problem is that they became a little too real. John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Casey Anthony. I'm sorry to have to do, but then we go, I may not want to look at this creature because I've actually seen this thing.
And it's me.
Well, what he's saying,
I agree with
what
that.
he's saying that maybe the reason why these other monsters we trying to bring up, like these alien, I mean, they're just not even
Because they're not
human anymore.
familiar.
That's why I think people, they want to have one that's
Maybe
human.
because we know really that the worst monsters of all are people.
us.
Great point to bring up.
And by putting that element, we tend to dehumanize the evil by putting it onto vampires, zombies, whatever. But, you know, we've met the enemy and he is us.
Okay.
Literally,
That may be
in a
one of the
very
reasons.
omniscient way, we make these like clay vessels and we put these souls into them. They go.
That may be one of the reasons why Bigfoot is so popular as a, you know, cryptid creature. Is it's a reflection of a human, and you know, and it's portrayed in a more monstrous light with the hypertrichosis, in other words, the hairiness and the animalistic behavior. But it also exhibits human-like intelligence.
There's a limit to that.
Yes.
I'm waiting for humans to act more like Homo sapiens so that people don't idolize Fred. I want monsters to be evil again, and I don't want that evil to be the pinnacle of what everybody wants to be. Instead, I want people to be afraid and shunning it again.
Don't
So you're saying
Am
you're
I
fed up?
naive?
No, I like that. I'm going to use it on my own.
But you're saying you're fed up, right?
Yes.
But you also have to bear in mind that it's the monstrous end of things that actually makes a story move. If the hero was the whole point of the story and there was nothing to grade against, there'd be no story.
We met Kurt Russell, and he was talking about how The Thing is one of his favorite movies, and he goes, yeah, but you got to try to understand it. It's just trying to survive. And I'm like, you try to understand it. I'm going to do everything I can to destroy it because I don't want people taken over by some hideous alien. And I'm really sick of all the, well, it's just misunderstood, you know. Let's breed it and try to take care of it. No, kill.
There you go. The real monsters in society, the psychiatrist trying to sell us that diatribe.
Like, look at the remake of Freddy they did. They tried to confuse the issue that he was a child molester and a killer. It was like, maybe he was innocent, all this crap. I'm like, that's not what Freddy was about. He was evil, he killed some children, he killed some more people after he's dead. End of story.
Well, that's the problem with Hollywood. They've been riding the coattails of all these other movies that are out there, and they're not replacing the money they're getting from those to find the new Ted Raimi's, Sam Raimi's, the new, you know, we're using all these other guys, you know, films and remaking them over and over and over again. Like The Thing is coming out again, which is crazy. I mean, all these films.
Well, make a good point. I'm sorry. Make a good point because I noticed in urban fantasy, whatever the monster is, whether it's a fairy or a leprechaun, for some reason they're like, it's like they have civil rights now. It's not the vampire's fault. They're just flood deprived.
Oh, God.
You're on it. He's
There's a point where political correctness just doesn't work anymore.
Okay, wait a minute. We've got a hand raised over here. Yes, ma'am.
Going back, the one that you mentioned, that the little boy sees a sweet little pig and the rest of the world sees a boar. The boar is scary. The boar is wild. The boar is feral. The boar is a monster. But if you domesticate the boar down and you pin it up and you breed it and breed it and breed it and breed it, you get the sweet little pig. Hollywood is domesticating the monster. And only Americans are doing it.
I like that. I'm going to write it down.
Domesticating the monster.
That's what. If you
Okay.
domesticate it,
Dracula to Edward.
if you domesticate it, you can sell action figures.
Rose, grab control quick.
All you said. How are we doing time-wise?
Oh, 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. More comments or questions?
This lady right here.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and then you. What? That lady right here.
It's all percentage. It's all percentage.
As long as we're on animals.
Go ahead, sir.
Are pit bulls monsters?
Are pit bulls monsters? No, I love my pit bull.
No.
I raised Dobermans.
It's not the pit bull, it's the monster, it's the person that owns it.
Okay, now we go to this lady here.
You want new monsters? Watch the Sci-Fi Channel every Saturday night. You get a different new monster. They're all, but you get a different new monster. I'm still betting on the weird pasta. I mean,
That's monstrous.
What about Sharktopus? I had drinking a month. I'm like, oh
God.
okay, no,
Next thing you know, we'll be watching Frankenferret.
I could laugh. I gave one of my characters in another book that I'm just ready to send out a weir badger.
actually, that's
Weir
I've heard of that one.
They can be nasty though.
Yeah.
looking possums.
Well, I think that's why they redid The Thing. Because for me, one of the scariest monsters of all time was The Thing. Not the first one from the 50s, but the remake that John Carpenter did, just because it's more of a disease that just morphs. And you can come up with any kind of crazy ass creature that your imagination can just, you know.
Yes.
I mean, for me, it's spiders.
Oh.
Big, massive, skeletal spiders. With, I was attacked by alien spiders. Okay? That's the first chapter. I was attacked by alien spiders.
Big ones. He was looking at Dinosaur Spiders from Mars. You got the whole thing.
So, you know,
There you go, there's my phobia.
Yeah. So, you know,
Well, there's a great picture of a nasty spider floating around Facebook right now. But I guess I can understand that. I'm not afraid of spiders. I don't like snakes. So,
No, if we ever get a
walking through the
spider-
Everglades and stepping on a python is not my idea of a fun day.
Oh, sure it is. Don't rope with it.
Try picking up an 80-pound dirt rope.
No, good.
Okay, someone else or?
Well, you know, like
Yes.
6 years ago when Supernatural started, they every you know, it was a great show. They had a different creature, like the Wendigo, like right off the bat. You know, they had all these really cool things that you really never really heard about in films. And, you know, they've kind of evolved and evolved and evolved. They've done shows about fairies. They've done shows about dragons. They've done shows about leprechauns.
Angels, demons, all that
they've
shit.
kind of rocked everything at this point. I thought it was a fantastic kind of like you know, stepping stone for people to look
Hang
at.
on, there's a young lady in the back. You had your hand up.
Well, I was just gonna say that I'd like to see more about Wendigos because I always found the story when I was little. I read like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark 3 or something. That kid's Scary Stories book. And the story about the Wendigo was always so it was always so fascinating to me. They were saying it was something that like shoves you, somehow it burns you up or something like. I don't know. There was this imagery about the story that fascinated me, and I always hear different ideas of what a Wendigo is and what it does and what it looks like. And
It really is a Native American. It's a Native American spirit, which I love.
There's a movie you need to see if you are interested in the Wendigo. It's called Ravenous, and that's the Wendigo legend. Just get Ravenous.
There you go.
It's like a cheap, dark comedy.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself laughing at bloody scenes, it's okay.
You know, another note to say, I was an editor at a company called Scare Tactics, and we were doing this comic book, and a friend of mine came up with a thing. He says that kids feel unempowered because his nephew was scared of the closet monster. So he gave him a huge hammer, given to one of the gods, like Thor or something like that, okay? So I edited the book. It's a great book. It should be made right now, going to film and some other stuff. It's called Billy the Monster Hunter. Now all the monsters are afraid of Billy. They all get together in this little pub and go, have you heard about this kid? And the boogeyman all are like going like this. Everyone tries to go out and get Billy. They can't get Billy. So Billy's now become this incredible creature slayer at 6 years old. So maybe it's empowerment too. Sorry, Steve.
I think they should call from other cultures and things. Like look at Kodak, right? They had a rock shots on the episode of that. That's pretty cool. If you go around the world, you can find things we haven't used yet, like an Aswan. Probably most people in the room have never heard of one before, but there's been a movie about, an Aswan and things like that. That'd be really cool. Like, good folk tales, even local legends, like the Jersey Devil.
Yeah, I was gonna say local
Local legends. There's some pretty good. Yeah, The 13th Child was an awesome movie. You can.
Like Madame Glenn with piano, I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard of her, but like every Madame Glenn Law.
Yes.
There's a lot of legends that people don't know about in every state, Like I'm from Louisiana, we have legends coming out everywhere, But believe me, when Madame Glenn comes to my bed, I'm leaving.
I think what we're hearing is that there is such a vast mythos to draw from. We're never going to run out of monsters.
But
we can draw them from all kinds of cultures within our own country and all around the world. So why are we restricting ourselves to just a few?
Well, I think it's more just mass consumption.
Yeah.
Because she's like Wendigo and she's like Jersey Devil.
And the Aswan.
I'm like giant alien spiders. And, and everybody's got something that scares them differently, but for it to hit the cultural consciousness, and especially even worldwide, because zombie movies sell everywhere, Japan, China, but to get something that's going to bury itself deep into everybody's psyche, that's very hard to do, and that's why people are stuck with the vampire and the zombies, because it's over 100 years old.
And there's a commonality, a common thread, and maybe that's the secret.
And it's old.
Do any of these other monsters that we've been discussing have that same degree of commonality, that same common thread?
That's a good question. If someone came out with a movie about the Wendigo, and someone came out with a series of books, and then some comics came out, and some action figures, would you buy it?
Yeah.
No, seriously, show of hands. Would you buy that?
Yes, I would.
Right, look how many hands are up in this room. So, here it is, guys. Now, if another zombie book comes out, another zombie movie, another zombie action figure, come on, hands, be honest.
It depends on
Really
who
as
wrote
honest as
it. It
possible.
depends on who wrote it.
Okay, now, we get people in here saying that they wouldn't do it, but obviously someone's buying it.
Or
It's up to you
everybody's slowly dying a slow death out there because everybody's going to be having nonstop books and buy my zombie book, please, please, please. And now somebody's run, please.
Wait for Osama Ben Zombie to come next. That's what I guarantee that's going to be
First one of these where I'll give you this book, and if I'm reading it, they all buy the book thinking it must be a good book because you're reading it,
You ever hear a book called Hunger Games? Okay, Hunger Games, right? Anyone hear about Hunger Games?
Yeah.
They're making a movie out of this. The little pin that they gave us last week was for $100 on eBay, blah, blah, blah. And very few people have heard about it. But there's this whole cult underneath this series of books, right? Suzanne Collins. It's simply, I'm going to do this very quickly, it's about a post-apocalyptic world. America is divided into 12 different districts, basically, 13 actually, and one makes electronics, one does fishing, one does agriculture, and every year the government requires a 12 to 16-year-old to appear at this arena and fight for their life against all this stuff they'll make up against it, including each other. The survivor gets to go back to their district with food and a home, and for a year takes care of them. Now, are you interested in reading this book now?
Yeah, I might be.
Why? Why would you be interested in reading this book? Because the whole cult of anything, huh?
It's got a human element to it.
Yeah.
It's got a very strong survival.
There's no freaking zombie or crab people.
Well, they're in here.
I read the original called Battle Royale.
Yeah.
That has been right. So now we're going to become monsters pitting each other against each other in the government. So again, here we go. This may be in a whole new genre where we look at each other going, holy crap, we really are the monsters. We start creating each other.
We've done that already. Something like Gamer.
No, we did something like that called the Nazis.
I was like Gamer, Q, all the 3 Q movies in that.
See, that's it.
So it has been done.
Logan's Run, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a fun panel, and I think we can wrap it up with a statement from each of the panelists, perhaps, about monsters, and or if we have a last-minute question from the audience.
I feel like I'm going to stay the same age.
I was just going to ask, is it possible to go and start a new monster without it becoming just commercialized? Because, I mean, at some point, we're all talking about creatures that weren't oversaturated or overmarketed. You know, it's not going to be something where all of a sudden you've got 100 different books with 100 different monsters. It's just going to be, you know, a new one's going to hit, and inevitably there's going to be 100 different books and movies, and it's all going to be the same.
Personally, my opinion is you have to watch the evil overlords in LA and New York who truly do not believe there is a country in between those 2 points. They'll actually have made those statements on TV, whatever. They don't believe that we in normal America in the middle even exist. Think about that.
I'm going to give the people what they want, and I really appreciate all the comments you guys have given to us. And I really like the one where you guys said that you said Hollywood is domesticating a monster, and you guys want monsters who are evil again, and that people can fear them. I like that. So I'll be hopefully writing a book or something like that.
No more writers. I think the answer is to find the monster that you love and write about it, and not worry about what's at the top of the charts right now. Because it won't still be at the top anyway by the time you get your book out there.
You guys make that decision. You're the bosses. Without you, we don't sell these things. We don't become profitable. We don't take more stuff. So remember that.
I think you should create your own creature mythos. Start from the ground up. You know, it's not making aliens though. Sci-fi. You know, like H.P. Lovecraft, he did a wonderful job. But even then, his monsters really still on the other side. You really never see them, you know, on this side. You know, I mean, you know that they look tentacly rapey. But, you know, they really haven't, somebody really hasn't explored it. Well, no, a lot of people start to explore it now.
Yeah.
So it's like, and don't forget Edgar Allan Poe, who used the human monster, Casco Amontillado, Telltale Heart. These were all human monsters and written well before our time. He did a lot of absinthe and opium, I just want to say. Never mind.
Well, this has been a great panel. You've been a wonderful audience. I love the response from all of you, and thank you.
And remember, like I said before, it's a commercial venture, so the books are available. Stop anywhere. We have off pockets, hidden compartments with you.